Am I the arsehole? For asking girlfriend not to leave used tissues or pads out? I'm 24. She is 28. This is my first apartment that is reasonable to have guests, and my first long-term girlfriend. She has left used tissue and sanitary products in the floor of my bathroom on 2 occasions. Both had bodily fluids on them, one blood and one mucus. I had just cleaned and had to wipe the floors and trash can down again. I had to make a bucket to do that. I don't hate cleaning, but I would rather not clean and instead do other things. I am also often tired after work. She asked for my honest opinion and I told her that the name is silly and her husband is right. I tried to say this gently, but really how gently can you tell someone their idea is stupid? I suggested that she goes back to the drawing board on that one and maybe look at names of lesser-known anime characters if that's what she wants. Maisie got upset and said the name is cute and we're both just being closed-minded. I told her she asked for my honest opinion and she got it. She kept trying to convince me that it was a good name and the conversation was becoming hysterical and I told her it's a stupid name, end of discussion. She started crying and left, and since then she's been giving me the cold shoulder. Our parents told me to just tell Maisie that I'm sorry because my words really upset her and I should have been nicer about it. But it is a stupid name for a child outside of the anime world. She can give the baby a normal name but call him Luffy as a nickname or something. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Why can't she just call the baby Luffy, but actually give them a name that is not fucking ridiculous? Luffy is kinda funny though. I will keep it in mind if we ever get a new cat. Not the asshole. I think she's losing sight that she's naming a future adult, not a forever baby. She could use it as a nickname, but as a legal name? It's awful. Kids are brutal, they'll find any reason to bully if they're inclined to bully, but parents don't need to hand them material. Not the asshole. Luffy is a stupid name. Can you imagine Luffy Jones on a resume? Haha, come on. Our parents told me to just tell Maisie that I'm sorry because my words really upset her and I should have been nicer about it. This has me wondering. Were you actually mean, or more harsh than you let on in this post? Or are your parents just protective of your sister? Luffy is not a good name for a child in my opinion. It's more suited for a stuffed animal, or a new innovative pillow brand. Or something. You can have a unique name without it being comical. Not the asshole. That is a stupid name. That kid will be bullied. Kids have to live with their name until they're 18. Just because someone is super into anime or DD or whatever doesn't mean that should carry over into naming their child. Different? Fine. Unisex? Fine. A name practically guaranteed to get a kid bullied? You're an R. Luffy for a boy is a terrible name. Even for a girl I'm very hesitant because it's way too cute. But she asked your opinion and you gave it, not the asshole. She's naming a baby, not a puppy. That kid will absolutely be bullied. Not R. Her child is not a billboard for her fandom. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The day a bully starts to call her Luff and then transitions that to Muff will be the beginning of her demise. Not the asshole. Luffy's name is Monkey D. Luffy, why didn't she consider naming him Monkey? Not the asshole. Tell her to imagine future Dr. Luffy Smith or President Luffy Smith or even Teacher Luffy Smith. It is a cute name for a baby, but she is having a whole human who will become an adult someday. Not the asshole. People really need to learn not to ask questions they don't want the answer to. I think it's always tacky when people name their kids after pop culture characters when it's a unique name and easy to associate with the show. You're absolutely right that the kid would get bullied. People who ask for an honest opinion and then get angry when it's given RTA. Not the asshole. I would have told my sister the exact same thing. If she's asking for your honest opinion, she can't be upset if it's different than what she wants to hear. Not the asshole. She shouldn't ask questions that she doesn't truly want an answer to. On another note, you could suggest Luffy as a nickname. She could use a name like Lucas or Lucien, which will work for him as an adult and make it less likely for him to be bullied or turned away from a job. Woman shrugging. Edit autocorrect made Luffy to Kiddy. I had to fix it, rolling eyes face. Not the asshole. Not a fan of fandom names overall, but if she really must, then she should pick a character from the show with a real name: Robin, Frankie, Brooke, or Tony, smiley face. Not the asshole. I love One Piece, both the anime series and shockingly the live-action movie, but I sure as hell wouldn't name my kid Luffy. Goofy Luffy or Puffy Luffy seem like natural nicknames. Poor kid. Even Usopp, Nico, Kobe, or Shanks from the series are way names better after the kid is 5-6. Info: is she giving birth to a kitten? Perhaps a puppy? Some other cute pet who has no chance of being introduced? As all rise for the Honorable Judge Luffy last name. Not the asshole. Luffy and Chili are both name ideas that should never come to fruition. Forcing your fandom on your offspring is always a bad idea. Natar. Baby names need both parents' consent. One no veto. Look, she can call him Luffy as a nickname, but he needs a different name. I think these discussions need to be between your sister and her husband. You may have been a bit harsh, but she kept pushing it. Not the asshole. Natar, since she asked. And both parents should agree on the name. I would just like to point out all of the people that named their kid Khaleesi when GOT first came out and how they regret it now. She should obviously give him a real name and call him Luffy as a pet name. As it is and always will be, don't ask questions if you just want to be agreed with. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She asked for your honest opinion and now she's mad that she got it. Naming a kid after a fandom is unbelievably risky, even if it's a normal name. Picking a name that is immediately, identifiably from an anime? No. She needs to remember that she's not just naming a baby, she's naming a person. The name being cute is not the only consideration. He will be named Luffy as a cute baby, and as a 15-year-old teen boy, and as a 30-year-old man. Okay, probably not as a 30-year-old, because legal name changes are a thing. Not the asshole. This is your nephew and your mom's grandson. Do you guys care about him? If yes, then don't let this name happen. Your sister isn't listening and just wants to get her way. Try to get her to see sense before he comes. Not the asshole. It's ultimately up to her what to name the child, but she asked for your honest opinion and you gave it. Luffy is not a good name choice. As a child they will be bullied and as an adult they will not be taken seriously. Also, naming your child after a fandom is a straight-up awful choice. The child might have no interest in anime. One Piece could have a new season or reboot that changes the meaning of the name. That child is going to have a whole lifetime of Luffy, Luffy. No, it's from a TV show. Yes, my mom really liked it. As a middle name, fine. As a first name? Kinda cruel. Not the asshole. She asked you a question and you gave her an honest answer. You tried to give your answer in a really nice way and then she flew off the handle. She seems like she only wanted you to be a yes man and not answer honestly. If she wanted that, she shouldn't have asked. Not the asshole. She kept on after you gave your opinion. That's on her. An adult named Luffy, good grief. Not the asshole. I was actually considering Luffy for a pet, so cute name. The problem for an actual human male is that there is no way for it to grow up. If they are actually considering Luffy for a little girl, I would suggest that they switch over to Nami. Not the asshole. She asked, you answered. That's not a guarantee you'll agree with her. You were honest and that's all you can do. And yes, that poor kid would be teased for that name. Not the asshole. She asked for your opinion and you gave it. Luffy is something you'd name a hamster. Not the asshole. She's naming a human, not a puppy. Luffy is not a human name, also naming a child should be 2 yes or it's a no. Am I the asshole? For not having much of a reaction to my daughter coming out and introducing us to her partner? My daughter is 23 and she requested dinner with us because she had some important to tell us, being my wife and I. She introduced us and came out. My wife was emotional, gave her a big hug, and told her how proud she was. I on the other hand did not react to her coming out. I honestly did not care about that part. I was honest her partner was cool, and she was very interesting. My wife told me I was rude for ignoring our daughter's announcement. I told my wife that I did not care who she was attracted to, all I cared about was if she was happy. I tried to explain I did not care about that stuff, people like who they like, I don't need labels for that. Love is love. She said my view is slightly homophobic because it shows I am not acknowledging a different view. I do not see it that way. Am I the asshole? Should I apologize to my daughter and her partner? Edit for added context, I did not treat her situation as any different from her brother's. I took the time to get to know the person they were with. My wife feels I should have treated it differently because they are different situations. Ignoring that fact does not help. Update: thanks for the input. Everyone is right, I should have just asked my daughter. I will see if she is free tomorrow for some coffee and have a chat with her. I am sure my wife's words just got to me, but only one way to find out, right? Thanks again. Not the asshole. I'm a lesbian. When I came out to my parents they basically reacted with "that's nice, dear." My sexuality didn't change my relationship with them. In my opinion that's how it should be. Info: how does your daughter feel? Not the asshole. I will never understand what is homophobic about people treating gay children exactly the same as they treat straight children. Isn't that the ideal that we are striving for? I personally think your wife's reaction was lovely and validating, and I think your non-reaction was also lovely and validating. But no one here can make a judgment for you on this. Only your daughter can. Info: not the asshole. Your reaction is the right one, because homosexuality shouldn't be a big deal. It's one way of life and it's just as fine as being straight or whatever. Just talk to your daughter and make sure she doesn't wrongfully get the impression that you don't care. Explain to her that it's just that's it, quite undramatic to you, and that you accept her 100 and thought her partner seemed cool. She'll be happy. Not the asshole. You responded normally. This is what we're trying to move towards. When I came out to my mom, she didn't have much of a reaction. Just spoke to me about how I was feeling, like it was the easiest thing to talk about. I was a teenager and it made me feel good. I had been incredibly nervous about her reaction, and was very happy with how mild it was. If your daughter herself asked for a little more validation from you, I'd say of course give it to her. But I don't think big displays of emotion should be expected. Sexuality is natural, it isn't a choice. It shouldn't be more or less celebrated than someone saying they're straight. You probably should have shown more emotion. Coming out is a bit of an announcement, and it's expected that you should put forth a bit of enthusiasm. If she had said she got a promotion at work, would you just give a flat okay with a shrug? Or would you try to gin up a smile and a hug for her? It's like wishing someone a happy birthday on their birthday. Sure, it's a perfectly predictable event and it doesn't matter all that much, but we celebrate it and we show happiness, enthusiasm for someone telling us they're a year older. When she came out to you, you should have shown her some enthusiastic support and joy. You're not an asshole, but like, coming out to your parents is a big moment, give your kid a hug. Just saying that if something is a huge deal for someone, and you treat it as if it is nothing important, then they will not feel that you are there for them. You should at least show interest instead of not caring. And I don't think you should have made a big deal out of it if that's not your reaction, but it wouldn't have hurt to say thanks for telling me. It must have taken a lot of courage to bring it up and I appreciate it. Not the asshole? You explained it yourself. I mean, you could have been slightly more enthusiastic because coming out takes a lot of courage. But I mean, as long as you were being respectful and kind about it, everything should be fine. Make sure she knows you accept her. Not the asshole. But did you say what you said to your wife, to your daughter? Could she tell that the silence was the silence of acceptance, not the silence of rejection? Dude, what is up with this comment section? No one is going on a crusade against the straights or advocating that we treat gay people better than others. I can't say what your daughter was feeling, but for what was likely an anxiety-inducing and important confession, I would want some more enthusiasm than "that's nice." I would say you're not an asshole, but you've missed something that's really important to your daughter. Just because you don't care, doesn't mean that this wasn't a big deal for her. Acknowledge what she's gone through hiding this for years, thank her for trusting you enough to share. You aren't wrong to feel how you feel. However, know your daughter probably agnosed for years over telling you your wife. Planned it all out. Analyzed how you would react, what she would do. So it's probably a lot for you to basically just ignore it, as telling you was a huge deal to her. Nah. Our reactions are what they are. She wanted you to fake surprise? Or upset? Or enthusiasm? Did she demonstrate a lot of emotion that you ignored? Was she crying? Or blank? If she was emotional and you were not comforting, then you're the asshole, but at face value, nah. I don't understand Reddit. If people aren't fazed by someone coming out, many people on Am I the Asshole? Are upset. Shouldn't you be happy people have normalized gay relationships to the point it's basically a non-event? That seems like progress. Not something to be upset about. Info. Did you tell your daughter you don't care about her being gay and love her either way? Or did you just not acknowledge her announcement at all? Big difference in how either comes across. Tell her you love her. Not the asshole. I came out as bi to my family when I was 15. None of them made a big deal out of it. It was just normal. It made me feel safe and like it didn't matter who I loved. I don't think there always has to be this huge OMG hooray I'm so proud moment after everyone comes out. Not the asshole, but have you talked to your daughter? It can be very difficult to come out, and while it's wonderful that you accept your daughter and love her for who she is, she might have needed some reassurance of that, and this was an opportunity for you to give her that reassurance. I'd recommend telling her how you feel and how much you love her and want her to be happy. It's not homophobic, obviously. But personally I feel like I'd want a little reaction acknowledgement. It's a large part of herself, so it should matter to you in a good way. Nah, your reaction wasn't homophobic, but I think you're trying so hard to show how cool you are, you completely missed that your daughter likely had a lot of stress around telling you. Coming out is often hard, even when they know their families are likely to be supportive. So you should have acknowledged that this was a big deal for her and put in a bit of effort to reassure her. Not the asshole, you normalized the situation rather than making it a huge deal or an issue. Not everyone wants grand celebrations or to be put on a giant pedestal. Treating people differently because of their sexuality isn't always the correct answer. I don't see where you'd be wrong, but also it's dependent on your daughter's feelings. I'd ask your daughter if she had any issues with how you handled her coming out. Not the asshole, but I've done something like this before. When my friend came out for me, it was a Tuesday. I couldn't have cared less if he was straight, gay or anything in between because he is my guy. It is absolutely not a big deal. What I failed to realize, after he got upset, is that it was a big deal to him, and it takes guts to do it even if the person you are telling cares as much as if you had told them you like sugar in your tea. So, yeah, good for you for not being hung up on that stuff, but you need to show support for how hard it is generally and will be going forward with other people who aren't so cool with it. Honestly, I don't know. How does your daughter feel? If you feel reconsidering because of what she asked, maybe instead of asking us, not judging, just advising, maybe you should ask her if she felt wronged and act from there. Like if she feels you were acting like an R, then you apologize and explain your thought process and let her know you're proud and also happy that she is happy. But if she did not feel disrespected, well, I think you're good. Thumbs up.
Am I the asshole for telling off my Bill who keeps purposefully scaring our baby? Me and my husband have 3 kids together. 2 girls and a boy. Our youngest is the boy. He's just over a year old. My husband's brother, we'll call him Uncle G, is married with 4 girls 27 yo. They have always wanted a boy and continue having babies in hopes they'll have a boy. So far no luck. Ever since having our youngest son, Uncle G has antagonized him every time we've seen him, which is roughly once a month since baby J was about 2 months old. He'll do things like jump out from behind a corner and scream loudly in his face, lock eyes with him in a staring contest, and then yell loudly to scare him or throw him up in the air, which he hates. I can only assume his intention is to make him cry because that is always the outcome. We never leave a get-together with Uncle G without him having made baby J cry at least once. Every time I see him do it, I'll intervene, take baby J away, and make a comment ranging from mild to moderate shaming. Something like, "Can you stop please?" Single quote. "You're the only person he cries around." Or, "Gee, I don't think he likes that." We also limit our time around their family for this and other reasons. The last time Uncle G scared him so bad that every time baby J looked at him for the rest of the evening he broke down in tears. Uncle G's reasoning was, "Life is tough. I'm teaching him he needs to be tough. That'll teach him to have a stare down with me." I'm not sure what to do at this point. I already make comments when it happens and it hasn't changed his behavior. I ask my husband to say something and he just shrugs and says the natural consequence for Uncle G is that baby J just won't like him. Is that enough? Am I the asshole for calling him out on it and expecting my husband should say something or not? You are allowing your Bill to keep your baby in a state of constant fear every time you see him. Is this how you want your child to see the world? Stop letting him abuse your son. If Bill is not capable of appropriate behavior, protect your child and never let them be together. YWBTA if this continues. Edited to add, and please do everything you can to protect his children and maybe their mother. God only knows what a dangerous ass he is to his family behind closed doors. No, that's not enough of a consequence. Your baby is being abused by his uncle. You're the asshole for allowing it to continue. Stop seeing this man. P.S. Life isn't supposed to be tough for a 1-year-old. Uncle is an AH2 obviously. With all due disrespect, you have not told off your Bill at all. You and your husband have repeatedly put your child in front of his abuser and don't seem to care. Enough. Stop visiting. Stop interacting with your husband's family until he does something. Please seriously protect your child from that monster, who I assume is acting this way because he's upset you've got a boy when he doesn't. Why the EF have you allowed this? I would have chewed out that "ah" the first time he did this. I don't think he likes that WTF. It should have been, "Bill, what the hell is wrong with you? Don't you ever do that again. You and your partner have effing allowed this "ah" to torture your child. Holy shit. Be better parents. Get this creep away from your baby. Jesus Christ, yes, you are an asshole for not protecting your kid who is doing whatever he can to request this from you. Life is tough. It gives me instant face punching rage. Not to say that you should get physical with him. Mind. But this Neanderthal has you doubting yourself? Unacceptable. What in the actual fuck is wrong with you? Seriously. Are you completely lacking in protective instincts? Do not bring your baby around him. Ever. Period. You're already a massive for continuing to bring your baby around him when you yourself are intimidated by him. As said in another comment. And since your husband won't tell this grown man he's related to get the fuck away from his baby, he's a giant as well. All 3 of you are traumatizing that baby. All three. Fix it now before your son's development is permanently damaged by his abuse. Jesus fucking Christ. And another thing. How will he escalate this behavior when your son is older? Are none of the other adults saying anything, or is Uncle G extra special for everyone? Do you know the story about baby Albert? This is essentially what he's doing. Terrorizing your child. Obviously Uncle sucks the worst, followed by your husband, and then you. You and your husband need to shut this shit down. Babies aren't supposed to be in fight or flight. This often he's literally building his neuro pathways, and this trauma is damaging that process. Put it to a stop now. If you won't stop, you stop going with the baby. Info OP: why the hell are you letting someone who deliberately goes out of his way to upset your child be around your child? Not the asshole. Tell your husband, Uncle G, the next time anyone purposely tries to scare the baby cries. You're going to punch both of them in the nuts. Tell them to toughen up. Seriously though, allowing your kids to be frightened by your family is a terrible idea. What happens when baby gets hurts from trying away from Uncle G? You're the asshole for allowing a bully to repeatedly victimize your kid while you wait for your husband to step in and defend him. YTA for letting this go on for so long and only mild and moderate shaming. It is long past the time for Uncle G to no longer spend any time with baby J. Physically put yourself between your child and this abuser. I suggest carrying a squirt bottle and spray him any time he just looks at your baby. If anyone asks, you won't tolerate anyone abusing your children. Use harsh language. This behavior could have far more lasting and traumatic consequences in the future beyond baby J. Not liking Uncle G. Not the asshole for calling out G's behavior. Not the asshole, and it is high time. X200B. You are Oz for not protecting your son. X200B. You just stand at the sideline and let his uncle abuse him again and again? That's disgusting. Not the asshole. But you will be if you don't put your foot down. Gee, I don't think he likes that. Isn't going to cut it. This is your kid. Calmly but firmly say, stop tormenting my son or you won't be allowed to be around him anymore. THB. I think your biggest problem is your husband. And the fact that he's not willing to stand up for you and your son. Make it clear to him that you won't be around his family if this continues. Accept your poor baby. My heart breaks thinking about how scared he is, and you and your worthless husband just keep letting your asshole Bill terrorize him. Both of you need to step the fuck up and parent and keep your goddamn abusive Bill the fuck away from the vulnerable child in your care who is your responsibility. Not the asshole. But I'd really put my foot down firmly. Your Bill is sadistic. And your child needs to be defended. Your husband should be the one to stand up and tell him he will not be allowed to terrorize your baby. It's really odd to me that he's so nonchalant about his brother doing this. If your husband won't stand up for your baby, I think it's time for you and the kids to stay home from any event Bill attends. And for Bill to be banned from your home. If your husband doesn't like it, I'd ask him why he cares more about his adult brother's feelings than his infant son's. Don't allow that man inside your home and get your partner to put his abusive brother in his place. Things like this can mess up a kid for life. You're the asshole for letting it continue. You didn't put your foot down, but just politely request he doesn't. If your husband won't protect his child, you take the child away. Out of the house. When you see dear uncle enter the home, protect your child. You're the asshole for brining you kid there.
Am I the asshole? For leaving a dinner I didn't want to go to? My husband picks me up from work at night some days. Yesterday I noticed we weren't going home, and when I ask he says we're going to dinner at his family's. I was so exhausted from work, and I also dislike some of his family members lol. So I got really angry that he didn't ask if I wanted to go before promising his family we were. Or at least giving me a heads up. Instead of apologizing, he argued that I was being dramatic, so naturally I got dramatic for real, and as soon as we arrived at their driveway I called an Uber and left. He said I was being disrespectful and embarrassing myself in front of his family. I don't care, but he's still pissed at me. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your husband is rude for planning or agreeing to you doing something without asking you first. If this is a pattern, I would have left too. But you have bigger problems, it sounds like. You and your husband need to work on communication, and it sounds like he needs to work on respecting you. Not the asshole sounds like he sprung it on you BC he knew you wouldn't go willingly. He basically kidnapped you, and it backfired on him. Not the asshole he should have asked you, and when he found out that you were exhausted, he should have dropped you at home after picking up food for you along the way, if possible, and gone alone. I love all the comments in both agreement or disagreement alike, very enlightening. Just want to clarify, as there seems to be some confusion on if I was going willingly or not. His family lives nearby and the drive to their house is mostly the same as to mine, but a different freeway exit. I only noticed when this time came, so yes, I was in the car willingly, but I guessed we were going home like every night until I saw the exit we were taking. Maybe I was wrong for not asking ahead of time, who knows. Either way, keep the opinions coming. Not the asshole. WTF is wrong with your husband? You were tired and not in a mood to put up with his family. Remind him that it could have been worse if you had actually gone inside and lost your cool when one of his family members said something dumb. Not the asshole, he has poor communications skills and he was not being respectful, especially after you worked all day. I had a husband like this and we are now divorced. He began always making me feel like I was stupid, and it lowered my self-esteem, and lived like this for 15 years. I have remarried to a kind man. Just wish I got out earlier. Disrespectful? Yes, that is the vibe I was going for. Not the asshole. I love how you said you got dramatic for real when he called you dramatic. My kind of petty, smiley face. I just want to give some recognition to the fact that he called you dramatic and your initial reaction was, oh, honey. You want to see drama? That's some. And the heartbreaker's level of petty, and it was exactly what the situation called for. Not the asshole, he did not give you a heads up or ask you, you are 100 allowed to just leave. Not the asshole, that is really upsetting, manipulative behavior. I'm guessing this isn't the only instance of him behaving this way. You don't just have someone get in your car and start driving somewhere they haven't agreed to go, ever. Unless it's a dog. Not the asshole, who wants to socialize, after work especially, with those you don't care for and your spouse making the decision for you. Sometimes getting dramatic is necessary to drive home the lesson. Not the asshole. How is embarrassing yourself in front of his family even an argument in his favor? What he really means is he's embarrassed by your non-compliance, which also isn't an argument. Not the asshole. He embarrassed himself by making a commitment for you without asking you. That's always a nope, and then making you go anyway after you said you didn't want to. Not the asshole, but y'all might wanna talk things out and make sure everyone is being respected. When I leave work I typically take a nap right when I get home, and I am dying to greet the kitties. If anyone tries to interfere with that part of the day, I am gonna need to know several days in advance. Does he do this sort of thing often? View you as a possession, someone he can simply order around? I fail to see how this embarrassed you, so he's lying as well. You're not the asshole. Not the asshole. He tried to put you in a position where he thought you couldn't leave, and you proved otherwise. You are disrespectful? You? Did he take crazy pills? Is he always like that? What a pow. X200B. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If anyone ever disrespects the first 2 hours after I get off work without letting me know, they are the and I would tell them so and it wouldn't happen again, I tell you that. When it comes down to it, you told him no and he wouldn't take your no for an answer, so you removed yourself from the situation. You didn't make a scene or go off on a rant, you just noped out. Hopefully, he will take your feelings into account more and respect your boundaries. When you want different things, he should feel comfortable going to see whoever he wants. But he can't command you to attend. He seemed to think there was nothing you could do about it. Learn something new every day, I guess. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He tried to force you to go to dinner instead of respecting your wishes. He's the fool. Not the asshole. I thank God every day that my partner isn't close to his family. I'm not the asshole. I always tell people that I need 3 to 5 business days to process and prepare for social events. I would be so mad, so grateful. My wife also prefers 3 to 5 business days, lol. Not the asshole. After work the last thing I want to do is go socialize unless it is pre-planned and I can psych myself up for it and have a coffee or something. Not okay for him to make that decision for you without talking to you about it. Not the asshole. It was literally as simple as telling his family he would be there, and depending on how tired from work you were, you may be there too. Then he had to pick you up as normal, ask how your day was and then ask if you would mind having dinner with his family. If you said no, I'm tired from work, then he brings you home and then goes to his family's house for dinner. The only way you'd be TA in this situation is if you told him he couldn't go either, which I don't see here. Woman shrugging. Not the asshole. Making the plan without checking with you first is rude. He promised your time to someone else and did not have the understanding that he needs to check with you first. Tell his family the truth. That you were not told about the dinner, and while you do enjoy spending time with them, you were not in the headspace to do so, and since you had no warning whatsoever because of your husband's rude actions, you went home. Not the asshole. NGL, I'd have just taken the car and left his conniving ass to find its own way home. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Don't ever agree for me to eat at someone else's house without asking me first. Not the asshole. Sounds like he didn't tell you to try to make you go because he knew you wouldn't want to, being tired after work and with people you don't like being there. Not very nice of him. Not the asshole. And your husband was being an ass, but Holy Mother of Christ, some of these comments are dramatic as hell. With only one anecdote and irritating, but by no means traumatic incident, people have diagnosed your husband to be a narcissistic abusive sociopath who hates women and views you as his property. I hate this website. Not the asshole. Age. He should know how tired you are after work and he didn't ask you if you wanted to go. Your husband ambushed you and thinks that's fine. Rather than dealing with this incident on its own, I think you might want to arrange couples therapy and insist on both of you attending. Your husband is being disrespectful, lacking in empathy and putting his family members above your well-being, as well as damaging your ability to trust him. I bet this isn't the first such incident, either, is it? But he picks you up from work when he can, so this situation is fixable. He doesn't not care. The real move would have been taking the car and leaving him there. That's a huge change of plans and expectations from thinking you are just gonna go home after work. He owes you a head up when things like that come up. Not the asshole. No husband, friend or family member of mine except my mom, and she's mentally ill, would ever presume to pick me up and drive me to an event or location that had not been previously discussed and agreed upon. Outside of the surprise, which this is not. I would have done the same. No consideration to you after a long workday. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Yeah, fuck that shit.
Would I be the asshole if I made my sister-in-law change the name of her unborn baby? My son, we'll call him Jack Emmett Smith, was born just over 6 months ago, and we decided to use my grandfather's name Emmett as his middle name to honor him and because I have always been close to My grandfather. My sister-in-law is now pregnant with their second child unexpectedly after her first just had her first birthday. There will be about a 19-month age gap between them. The big thing here is that they already announced the name of the baby when she is only a month along. The name is the same name as my grandfather and my son's middle name Emmett. They already announced this to both sides of her family and announced that they won't even be calling her by that name but by a nickname for her entire childhood. My brother with all of this doesn't really care what they name the kids and really just lets my sister-in-law decide what she wants. Which is fine. But the fact that they announced the name and never even talked to us about it beforehand and we only found out due to a group chat text stings, especially since my son is barely 6 months old. My sister-in-law struggles with severe mental health issues and I honestly don't know if I can bring this up to her without her having a complete meltdown and her end up thinking that we hate her and so on and so on. I spoke to my mother about it and she said that she thinks it's great that we all like the same name and that names take on a different meaning for everyone and that it is completely fine. My mother has also had to go through a lot of struggles in her relationship with my sil due to the mental health struggles and all sorts of issues there. Would I be the asshole for telling my sister-in-law that she needs to change the name of her unborn child because it is too soon after my own son being born? You're the asshole. It's your son's middle name. People hardly ever use middle names. It's actually kind of neat they are using it as a first name. It's something they'll have in common. Stopped reading after they announced the name and never even talked to us about it beforehand. This is over the top entitled and it's their business naming their kid. You don't own a name lol. Look at how many families have like 8 people named John lol. You're the asshole. Edit. Okay. We made our point here. You all have people in your families with similar names. We can stop bombarding me with your comments that are the exact same as all the others. You're the asshole just thinking that it's your business. YWBTA for 2 reasons. 1. Thinking you can make her change the name as if you had that type of power to control what others do. 2. For feeling ownership over the name. It's a name. I'm sure you'll meet other people in the world with that name. Get over it. My cousin named her son Samuel. My cousin's sister had a kid and named him Sam. So the 2 kids are Sam and Samuel. No one took issue with this. This is not in your control. I suggest learning to just accept it. If you hate it so much, change your own kid's name because that you can control. You're the asshole. It seems a little weird for you to be upset over a middle name. Maybe the sil isn't the only one with mental health issues. You're the asshole. You are being really childish and weirdly possessive over a name. You do not have the ownership of the name and have no right to even ask your sister-in-law. You're the asshole. You don't have sole rights to your grandfather's name. Or any name actually. Your child is called Jack for a start. Edit. Jack being the first name, not Emmett. Nothing against regular Jacks. You're the asshole. The name someone chooses for their kid is their choice. Nobody else has something to do with that. There are 2 things you need to understand and understand fast. 1. You cannot control what people might or might not do. 2. You do not have monopoly on a name. Yes. You are Ta. You're the asshole. Why does it matter? It's a nice gesture on both families to honor someone. And what the hell does too soon mean? She has the right to use that name the next day if she wants. You're the asshole. Cousins share family names all the time. And you didn't even use it as a first name. There is no reason your sil can't use it. Don't say anything to her and work on getting over your entitlement. You're the asshole. Emmett was the name of your grandfather in the first place. And he was the grandpa of your brother too. It's just a middle name. Both babies have a different first name and, when they are growing up, will have different personalities. You just acting like you sis-in-law stole the name. That's not true. My cousins have both the same name, the youngest in the first name and the oldest in the middle. And I don't see the problem. You're the asshole. If you cared that much about the name, you should have given it as your kid's first name. But even if you had, you still wouldn't have any right to demand approval rights of your SIL's name choices. You're the asshole. Why should they talk to you about it? You don't own the name. Nobody cares if your SIL struggles with severe mental health issues. You are muddying the water. Even bring it up in this post. Your SIL doesn't need to be bothered by your opinion because it is none of your business. What you name your own child is your and your partner's business. 2. There can be more than one kid in the family named Emmett, especially if the other name is something different. MTOB, and you're the asshole. Would I be the asshole for telling my sister-in-law that she needs to change the name of her unborn child because it is too soon after my own son being born? Yes. YWBTA. It's not up to you what someone else names their child. Emmett is a family name and you don't get to call dibs on a name. You're the asshole. It's very common for families to share names and for kids to have the same middle name. She likes the name. So do you. And neither of you are apparently calling your kid by that name. So there won't be any confusion. You don't own the name. She and your brother get to name their kid what they want. You're the asshole. It's your kid's middle name, not first name. Middle names are like 99.9 unimportant. YWBTA for trying to make your SIL choose a different name. First, according to one of your comments, she's having a girl, and they will call her Emma. Second, Emmett is your son's middle name. It's not like she wants to name the kid Jacqueline Emmett Smith. Third, you don't hold the copyright to any name. YWBTA, you don't own names, and even if you did, your kid's name is Jack. You're the asshole. This has nothing to do with mental health issues. The main issue is you're being an asshole. You don't own the name. And if you loved it so much, you would have used it as a first name. Your SIL has every right to tell you to go pound sand if you bring it up. You're the asshole for bringing up your SIL's mental health issues as if that has anything to do with the situation. Acting as if you can't bring it up because she'd be so unreasonable. You're the one being unreasonable. No one gives a monkeys what your child's middle name is. Only a handful of people in his life will ever even know it. Get over yourself and congratulate them on their baby and beautiful choice of name. Although I also have questions. 1. How do they know the gender if they are only a month along? 2. Have you asked your brother why they chose that name? Maybe he wanted to honor his grandfather too. You knew it was a family name. You're the asshole and can't own the name. You're the asshole. It's the middle name. Even if it wasn't, who cares? My niece and nephew cousins have the same middle name because it's a family name. Very common. You're the asshole. They can honor your grandfather just as you can. Nothing wrong with the same first name and middle name. YWBTA. You're the asshole. You don't own the name. And it's a middle name too. Personally, I would find it charming that they were using a name that was special to me for a first name.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister she is required to wear a bra at my wedding? I love my sister. And truthfully, when I say required, I'm obviously not going to kick her out if she doesn't wear one, but like she really needs to. My sister is well endowed and hates bras. When she's wearing certain items like baggy t-shirts it's not so noticeable, but in the dress that she chose, I just gave her a color she's wearing in my wedding, it will very obvious she's not wearing a bra, and one wrong move and she could be flashing everyone. Not only does it look bad, but it's also borderline inappropriate. I told her let's go shopping and she can try a bunch of different ones. I even found a boutique in our area because stores carry very few options in her size, and said I'd pay for whatever she picked out. Now she's saying I'm playing into sexist stereotypes. I'm saying that there's a good chance if you dance too hard in this dress your titty is going to pop out, and I don't think that's sexist. Am I the asshole? Nah, not the asshole. If she doesn't want to wear a bra at an official event, she needs to choose the dress that allows it. If she chose the dress that is tight fit, thin, see-through or with noticeable cleavage, she needs to wear a bra. No one wants their sis to flash her tits during their wedding. Could you suggest tape as an option, the double-sided one that holds your clothing to your skin? It may be an easier trade-off. Not the asshole. Wearing a bra for a few hours is not the end of the world. Plus, I bet she'll have more fun if she's not having to worry about accidentally letting a nip slip during the vows. Not the asshole. Part of going to a wedding is dressing appropriately. If she's one wrong move from a nip slip, she's not dressed appropriately. I say this as someone who hasn't worn a bra in years and physically can't stand it. There are other options, like stick-on bras or tape, that she might look into, or maybe she needs a different dress, but she can't do nothing. Not the asshole. There's a time and place to make the whole anti-bra, sexism statements. A wedding isn't the time or place. She should comply with this one request. Wear a bra or some type of covering over the dress for the ceremony, and then she could even change into something else for the reception. You're really not asking much here. Not the asshole. I had this issue with my bridesmaid's dress for my best friend's wedding. Had to go find a little Am I the asshole? For going on vacation without my husband? My husband and I planned a week vacation to New Orleans in the US. But mostly I have been planning this for months. Back in March, I told him I would plan most of it, where to go, and what to do. All he has to do was make sure he had the week off and buy the plane tickets. I spent the last few months researching what to do. I booked the hotel room, made reservations at places we wanted to try, I made a list of all the sites I wanted to see. Every few weeks, I would check in with my husband to see if he had asked off and bought the tickets yet. He would say he was waiting for the plane ticket prices to go down. 3 weeks ago, I reminded him again and he said he had got off of work for the days but had forgotten to get the tickets. He looked online and the tickets were close to $1,500 ticket. He said he was going to wait some more to see if they would go down. Last week, I asked if he had bought them yet and he said no. We looked again and the prices were still high. He said he wasn't willing to spend that much on them and asked how much money I would lose if I just cancelled everything instead. He offered to have a nice staycation instead. I told him I was not willing to cancel everything because I spent so much time planning it. We argued and we didn't come to a conclusion. I wound up buying just one ticket for myself and when I flew out Saturday, I told him I was still going and he acted all surprised that I didn't want to stay home with him. I am in New Orleans now and he is blowing up my phone saying that I am an ass for still going without him. He was trying to get a ticket to come to but I told him if he came, he is getting his own hotel room because this is now my vacation away from him. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. He literally had 2 tasks and plenty of time to complete them, plus reminders. I'd honestly be irritated that he dropped the ball and then didn't own up to it by buying the tickets at the high price. Consider that a procrastination tax and a lesson. Not the asshole. I don't know WTF your husband's deal is but he acted like a real asshole. I don't know if he deliberately sabotaged the trip or just didn't care enough to follow through on his tiny piece of things, but you were absolutely right to not let him ruin the trip for you, and be sure as hell shouldn't be booking an expensive plane ticket to come join you now. I hope he'll be ready with a massive apology when you get home. Not the asshole. Your husband sounds like an ass. Hubby and I have been taking independent vacations, including international ones for a quarter century. We also take vacations together. It works well for us. We appreciate each other all the more after a few weeks to a month or more apart. Has he never flown before? You don't wait for flights to come down, you buy the tickets ASAP before they go up. Inevitably. Virtually always. Airline ticket prices are supply and demand, nothing else. When a trip is 2 months out, the planes are still booked as almost empty, the supply is high, and the cost is low. When the trip is 10 days away the planes are almost full, and the supply is short, ergo the price is high. This is the way it has always worked. Not the asshole. Enjoy the big easy. Not the asshole. That was weaponized incompetence trying to manipulate you into canceling the vacation because he didn't want to go. Good on you for going anyway and not playing his passive-aggressive bullshit game. This is now my vacation away from him. You don't play. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. My ex pulled a similar stunt except I'd already paid for everything. He expected me to cancel the family vacation and sit home with him because he changed his mind. Nope, took one of our adult kids in his place so I was only out a name change fee and had the best vacation ever. I realized on that trip it was over. Filed for divorce less than 6 months later. Not the asshole. He really let you down. It's almost like he didn't want to take this vacation so he sabotaged it. But even if he was merely being lazy, he was still being uncaring. It was clear how much this trip meant to you and he blithely blew it off and expected you to just stay home for your vacation instead? Oh hell no. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. I hope you enjoy your stay and your time alone in your hotel with a big bed to yourself. Eat as much food as you can, smiling face with hearts. Not the asshole. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. He is either a procrastinator and leaves things to the last minute. When buying plane tickets there must be no procrastinating because the ticket price only goes up. Or he didn't want to go on holiday, so kept stalling until tickets were too expensive or no leave left. Both scenarios, he had no interest or planning for the holiday, so he has not missed a holiday, he has missed the opportunity for a holiday. Not the asshole. Your hubs is the plane tickets are cheapest furthest away from departure, except for possible last-minute deals that are unreliably available. Not the asshole. Hope you have a lovely holiday. Not the asshole. I love that you told him this was now your vacation away from him. I would have done the same, smiley face. ESH. Probably should have spent the money on divorce lawyers instead, because this is where it's headed. Do you guys even like each other? Lol. Both acting pretty childish and immature for being married. This marriage is on its way out if you're not already planning a divorce. Notar he had an opportunity to go and chose not to. Not the asshole. Pretty passive-aggressive. Notar. TF. Apps like Hopper and Skyscanner literally tell you when to book. He had no excuse. Nola is amazing, join a solo female traveler group and have the best time. This is epic, of course you are not the asshole. Thanks for the laugh. You're not the asshole, that title belongs to your husband. He didn't want to spend money on that vacation, but couldn't own up to it. I hope you enjoy your solo vacation, and ignore his calls. ESH. Through thick and thin, richer or poor, unless there's a trip to New Orleans. With those vows. The next big project your husband will be spending money on is a divorce lawyer. Not the asshole, he's the He had one task and instead wanted to make you lose money. Nope. Not the asshole sounds like he never actually planned to go on this trip, and was thinking he could change your mind. Not the asshole, I can almost guarantee you he did it on purpose. No one is that dense. He knew what he was doing. Assuming that you say is the real story. You two have issues and need counseling or divorce. You're both assholes. He should have followed through on his part to buy the tickets. I don't know your financial story or if you work also and have your own separate bank account, but if money is a legitimate issue then you should both be on the same page about everything. Agreements should be made about solo vacations, not solo vacations out of spite and anger. I think your relationship has some bigger issues. And I think your husband had a problem with the idea of the vacation to begin with. For someone traveling each year, booking the hotel before the flight is wild to me personally. I always look up hotels before booking tickets to fly, but booking order is definitely flight, hotel, activities, dinner reservations, etc. Just always. Really? No one else is going to see that you're the asshole? You booked everything else besides the plane tickets after saying you'd book everything else? If you felt like you couldn't trust your husband to book anything, why give him the task of the plane tickets? If you wanted your husband to come along, you would have either done the lot in the beginning or bit the bullet at the end and went fine, I'll effing do it, but you've decided to leave without him and told him to not come along. Your marriage will not last if you can't even organize a holiday. Please don't procreate if you haven't already. Husband is a lazy ass, don't get me wrong. You are an asshole for making this post in the first place. Way to kill your marriage.